I want to admonish you in preparing for yourself a budget, especially we're in the year 2025. A budget will allow you to see what your income is and what your expenses are. And if you are strategic in preparing this budget, then you will have a mental frame in understanding where your money is going. So, what I'm going to do today is to walk you through a budget. It's a simple budget, but it will be of benefit to you, especially if you use it in accordance to how it was created. But before we get into the budget, I want to present to you the concept from Proverbs 21 and verse 5. It says, "The thoughts of the diligent tend only to pleasantness, but of everyone that is hasty only to want." What we're seeing is that the thoughts of the diligent, those who are careful, those who are meticulous, those who plan, those who are steady in their efforts, will lead to abundance, having enough and even extra to share. But those who are hasty, those who just rush, impulsive, make decision that they're without even thinking, would lead one to poverty, to lack, to a state of paucity. In essence, budgeting and thoughtful planning brings stability and success. But rushing without a plan can lead to trouble and turmoil. So at this time, I want you to focus your attention on our 2025 budget sheet. It's a simple budget sheet, but I'm going to walk you through the budget sheet so that you can see how best you can modify it for your needs based on the categories which are applicable to you in this present moment. And if they're applicable to you this year, next year, you can make them applicable as needed. So the idea of this budget sheet, it starts with a starting balance. We usually have the starting balance at zero, saying that you're starting out with zero. If you have debt, you can put that debt as a negative figure. And when you put the negative figure into the calculation, then it will generate whatever the value is. And it will put that negative figure in the other months on your behalf. All right. So the total income that you have coming in, you can calculate it. Let's say we're in the month of January. Let's pretend we're in January. So we have 1,000, that's 10,000. All right. And then we have from our first job, we have 10,000. The next job, we have 5,000. These are hypothetical. All right. Investment bank institution. This is like your banks and the interest payments. Say they give you 500 interest in the month of January. Dividends, if you have a brokerage account, if you have 10, 20, whatever amount you have, you want to keep your life simple. So I wouldn't advise you to have so many brokerage accounts. Maybe have 3, 4. That should be good enough. You're going to put how much did they give you in dividends income. Let us say they gave us 5,000 in dividends income. Then passive income, royalty. So royalties would be like maybe you have a song out and that song is being played, so the distributors would give you a cut of the earnings from that. Or if you have a book, then guess what, that there would give you an opportunity to get some income as royalty for the sale of those books. So say you made 250 from your royalty. If you have a real estate investment, whether it be a REIT or whether it be an actual building or structure or parcel of land, then you can get revenue recurrent, usually monthly, from those kind of investments. So for everybody it's going to be different, and as you build up and you increase in stature and you increase in your territory, then you can enter as is appropriate. Let's say we get 5,000 from our real estate portfolio. Now, providing that it was tax season and you had a refund or reimbursement, or maybe a payment came back, then you can put that in. Say you got $20,000 in tax refund, so you can put that in. What if you had a business? You have not even one, you have multiple businesses. So the first business generated 20,000. The second business, let's change that to add another zero. So 20000, that's 20,000. The second business generated 5,000. All right. And if you had any bonus payment, then we can determine what portion can go right here. So if there's any incentive, if you got a new employment and they decide, hey, let us give you a $50,000 hiring incentive. So they're going to give you 50,000. You put that 50,000 there, and now you're at 120,000. If your Social Security benefits, you may put that right there. Well, we have none, so we put none. If you have pensions, then you can put it there. If there's any miscellaneous, you can put it there. We're still actively engaged in work, so we don't have any pension and we don't have any Social Security, so we're going to leave that out. And miscellaneous is anything that we left out that you think could be added. You can place it right in there. Now, so now you have $120,000 available to you in income. But how are you going to spend this money? This is very important for us to know. So we're going to go into our housing expenditure and see if we can decide how best we can spend this money. We can utilize this money. We can invest this money. We can deploy this money. All right. So the first thing that you want to consider is your housing. How much is it going to cost you to have a house? With $120,000 coming in monthly, it means that you're a high income earner, at least for this month, right? If you continue this throughout, you'll be making over $1 million, right? So as simple as this, $1 million quick and fast. But this may be an atypical situation. So for your rent, if you're making 120,000, you may want to own your home. If it is even a home that is valued at 200,000, that is something that you could consider. But if you're renting, then we can move over to our rent. Well, we're not going to do the rent calculator. We're going to go back over to our income distribution calculator, and we're going to put that we are making 120,000 per month, which means that we'll be making about $40,000 per week, which means that we'll be making a little less. So let's go to 20,000 per week. No, wait, 25,000 per week. Let's see if we can get it. 25,000 per week. Let's see if 25,000 per week. Maybe 27,000 per week. All right. So now, let us hypothetically say that we were making $27,000 per week. If we're making $27,000 per week, we would be making $8 per month, which would equate to about $1.4 million. All right. So based on that calculation, we're going to be paying over $421,000 in government contributions or taxes. All right. So your rent can be, if it's at 25% monthly, the max it can be is 18,000. But to be honest, living in a house that is costing you 18,900 as a single person is not one of the best utilization of resources. Maybe you want to find yourself a partner or a wife or spouse, whatever it is, or have a family so that you can share in this situation of resource allocation. All right, so you have to think about what is in your best interest. So now we're going to look at it. We can only spend 18,900 per month, which for some this would be their rent payment for the whole year. You're spending in 1 month for rent payment or for mortgage payment. So each person's situation is different, and based on the difference for each individual, we have to take things into perspective as we move forward in our calculations and computations. So, with that said, we have to assess where we are and then determine where is it that we need to be. And that is why each person needs to have their own goal, their own objective, and they will be working on their own sheet. If you have a family, the dynamics may be a little bit different because you may have one partner working, or you may have both partners working together as a unit, which means that the income should be increased. Now, when you are living in a home, there is so much expenses, especially when it comes on to living in the United States. You have your house, your mortgage, your rent payment, then you have your rental insurance, you have electricity, you have gas or oil, you have water, you have sewer, you have phone, you have cable, you have satellite, you have internet, you have furnishings and appliances, or furniture and appliances, you have lawn care, you have the gardening, you have the maintenance, you have the supplies, you have improvements, you have the pool service. So there's so much services that are available if you have a home or you live in a home. So we have to just decide how are we going to deploy our capital. And in a situation like this, let's say we spend 5,000 on our rent, so and we don't pay any of the other bills, all right? So we just leave that at 5,000. So right now we are down total expense 5,000, and we have 103,000 remaining, all right? So we can just go through gradually and see what makes sense to us in our different areas of expenditure. So when it comes on now to transportation, do we have a vehicle? Do we have auto insurance? Do we pay for fuel? Do we ride a bus, the taxi? Do we have one of those bus passes? Are we working with an older vehicle so we need more repairs? Do we have license? Do we have registration? What additional DMV costs exist? So all of that has to be thought about as we make the plans for the budget. Then we have our health, because health coverage is very important, especially if you are a family oriented individual. You have to ensure you have health insurance. You should have some facilities to get you to the doctor, to the dentist. For medication, the pharmacist, you have to be connected. If you have any exercise program, you may have your health club. And in some cases, persons would suggest life insurance, even though I don't particularly participate in that or believe in that, but some persons do. And if you have pets, you need to have a veterinarian allocation for the pet care. And if you have any other thing, then you are going to need to have that available as well. Now, something that is very important is that the Christians operate a little bit differently from persons in the world, which means that we have what we call a charity or gift giving. We exhibit and we demonstrate a principle of tithing and giving an offering to whatever denomination or religious institution that we are a part of. Then we have our charitable donation Then we have our religious donation. Sometimes when we have an overflow, we want to share as much as is possible. So we give to the particular organization which we think can make the biggest and the best impact to the society. But after all of that, the human nature tends to desire to be entertained. So sometimes we may participate in the entertainment that exists within the world. So we may get a video DVD, maybe a streaming service, music, we may play games, we may do some form of rental, movie theater, whatever it is, whatever hobbies allow us to participate in, we may have that in our entertainment section. Then we come down to the important section, which is our emergency fund. We need at least 6 months of capital saved up in our emergency fund. We need 6 months just to act as a buffer, providing that anything unforeseen should happen. And we're going to keep that 6 months of emergency fund in a high yield savings account, which means that that account you can access the money quick and fast. You don't have to be going through waiting days upon days. You can just transfer it from that account into your main account and then you deploy it as is needed. Savings is something that is encouraged. But when you are saving, what is the purpose of saving? Is it just to save to hoard, or is it save to deploy to a particular work, to a particular assignment? If you're just going to save to hoard, then saving is not beneficial. Saving should be used to amass so that it can be deployed, so that it can be beneficial not only to yourself but to others. So savings has to be taken into consideration. Retirement is something that many persons teach about. However, the Bible does not teach us to consider retirement. However, though that is the case, I still encourage people to open a Roth IRA if they earn within a range that is acceptable for a front door contribution. If you earn above or you're high income earner, then you can go through the back door to get money into that Roth IRA. I would encourage you also to get invested in the different markets that are available to you, because the dynamics of our world has shifted, and if you're not moving with the shifting, then you're going to be left behind. Education is important, so you have to educate yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to go to a college, you have to go to university, but you can educate yourself on the different areas that are prudent and important for you to survive and for you to thrive as an individual. All right, so just consider all of these things. Now, when it comes on to debt obligations, you may have student loan, you may have car loan, you may have a credit card, you may have income taxes, you may have other taxations that come which are obligatory expenditures, and you have to consider them when you are making your budget as well. Some of us like to read, so newspaper, magazine, memberships, all those things come at a cost. I want you to be very careful of the miscellaneous fees, because sometimes the banks may send you a bill for different bank charges. I want you to be careful to look out at those fees, because sometimes those fees are in error. The postage fees, all the unnecessary fees. You want to get anything that is not necessary, that is not beneficial to you, that is not benefiting you in this season out of your life, because you don't want to be held hostage to your future. You want your future to be able to flow with fluidity. You want to be positioned in such a way that you can receive that which the Lord has prepared for you. So this is just the general idea of how to go about creating a budget. If you like this template of this budget that has been created, you can feel free to Download it from the link below. I hope that this was insightful, this was beneficial, and you will try your very best to incorporate this budget in your life so that it can add value to you. And remember, if there's something that you don't have, you can always block it out. If there's something that you need, you can always add it in and make it work for you. Because at the end of the day, you have to be the CEO of your life, not only your life, but also your finances, operating under the authority of your maker and your king. I ask you the question, does it make dollars or does it make sense? Until next time, have yourself a great day. This is Dr. A signing out.